Hi there, welcome to Yoga Pad and welcome to your 45-minute sequence. This month we're going to work really nicely with the hips and the hamstrings especially, and do a series of postures that are more down low, so not so many standing and sweaty movement postures for this class. Before we start, you may need a few things, 1 or 2 blankets, 2 if you know your hamstrings are quite tight. Have available 2 blocks. If you don't have blocks, then a little stack of books or some Tupperware containers, something that you can just pop your hands down onto, and possibly a strap, or if you don't have a yoga strap, you can take a necktie or something long that you can grab a hold of. So I'd like to start by sharing a beautiful poem from this lovely book called One Soul by Dana Folds, and I'd like to say thank you to Sam for gifting this to me. You know who you are. So page 44 is the inspiration for some of the sentiment in the class today. The poem is called Centre of the Stream. Soften, soften, sink into the still centre and receive the body's wisdom. Drink it in, feel everything. Can I really risk embodiment? Breathe until sensations rise in a wave. The feelings I've always pushed away now take centre stage. Am I strong enough to witness this? Relax. A deep connected breath sends the message, all is well. Even as sensations swell, can I drop the masks and feel the armour start to crack? A parade of stories, needs and dreams move past. Can I watch them all and not react? This moment is unfolding, whole, unique, felt and seen. Dare I allow myself to be carried to the centre of the stream where the water is too deep to stand and there are no handholds? So in today's class, let's take that sentiment of softening, relaxing, breathing and just trusting that all is well. So let's start seated. So take a comfortable cross leg, and for you, comfortable cross leg may be directly on the floor. If you find that your lower back is slumped and moving backwards, grab 1 or 2 of your blankets and pop your bottom up onto the edge of the blanket. So your bottom's on and most of the thighs are off the blanket, and that'll just give you a little bit more advantage to sit up straight. So a couple of options with this first posture. Either taking cross legs with the legs close in towards you. If you've got a bit more freedom in your hips, you can wriggle the feet forward a little bit so the shins are more parallel to the side of the mat. Or if you've got even more room, take the right leg, place it on top of the left knee, keep this foot flexed, the left foot flexed, and again have the shins either close towards you. If you've got a bit more freedom in the hips, you can wriggle them forward so that they are stacked one upon the other and more parallel with the edge of the mat. Quite strong before we even do anything around the side of the right hip. So wherever you are, whichever posture you've chosen for your body, take your hands either side of your hips, push into the fingertips, lift the spine. Just get a sense that your lower back is moving in and creating a little arch or a little natural curve in the lower back. So we're going to really try and keep that natural curve. Get some nice length of the spine all the way to the crown of the head, and then keep that length, lift the fingertips away, take the fingers out in front of you, stretch the chest up, look up, breathe in deeply, and then exhale, creep the hands forward and see if you can keep anchored down through the back of the hips as your chest folds towards the floor. Keep your eyes nice and soft. You can just relax the neck so the back of the neck is just a nice extension of the upper back. And really settle in here with some nice long deep breaths. So just you can establish a very nice long deep breath pattern here. If it helps you, count a slow count of 4 as you breathe in and a slow count of 4 as you breathe out. So we're going to stay here for about a minute. Enjoy a nice breath. You've probably noticed that there is some sensation around the back of the hips and especially the right hip. So this is your chance now to just soften and breathe into that space relax. And you can very softly, intentionally place a little bit more energy down through the right hip, so grounding that right hip downwards, creeping the hands a little more forward, keeping the breath nice and steady. So a few more breaths right here. On your next in-breath, start to creep the hands up. Look up, lift the chest, walk your hands over to the left. Lift the chest, lengthen the spine, anchor down through the right hip, and then soften the chest down. Creep the hands forward, just release the neck, so the back of the neck is nice and long. And again, establish that nice rhythmic breathing pattern. Slow count of 4 as you breathe in. Slow count of 4 as you breathe out. You may notice a slightly heightened sensation around the back of the right hip. Just remind yourself that all is well. For the last few breaths here, if you can creep the hands a teeny bit more forward, then go for it. If you're creeping them forward, remember to keep anchoring down through the right hip. On your next in-breath, lift the chest. Creep the hands over through center, over to the right. Lift the chest just for one breath. Exhale, fold for one breath. Inhale, lift the chest, creep the hands to the middle, and then creep up. Release the legs nice and slowly. Take them out in front of you. You might want to give them a little bit of a shake. And then crossing the legs the opposite way. So this time, left shin in front of the right. So again, take your option, either the shins close in towards you, take them out parallel with the front of the mat, or if you've got a bit more space in the hips, you can lift the left leg on top of the right knee, shins either close towards you, or you can creep them out parallel to the side of the mat. Feet flex if you're taking this position, just to give the knees a little bit extra support as well. Take the fingertips out from the sides of the hips, lift the spine, lengthen the spine, feel that nice natural curve in the lower back. See if you can keep that sensation through the lower back. Lift the fingertips, keep the height, take the hands in front, lift up the chest. And then exhale, start to creep the hands forward. You probably initially feel the sensation this time through the left hip. And the work now is to soften, to breathe, find a nice rhythmic breath, slow count of 4 as you breathe in, slow count of 4 as you breathe out. Relax, anchor down through the left hip, and just let any thoughts that are starting to float through your head, just let them float on by. So a couple more breaths just where you are. If you can wriggle the hands a teeny bit more forward, then go for it. Remember to anchor down through the hips, especially the left. And then on your next in-breath, creep the hands up and walking over to the right. Lift the chest, lengthen the spine. Exhale, creep the hands forward, folding over to the right this time. Back of the neck, just a nice extension of the upper back. Nice, long, deep, rhythmic, soothing breaths. So if you have a heightened sensation around the left hip, as you breathe in, really lengthen the spine, and as you breathe out, just really bathe this whole area with your exhalation. A few more breaths just here. Creep the hands a little more forward if you can. Anchor down through the hips, especially the left. On your next in-breath, lift the chest, walk the hands to center. Keep walking all the way over to the left. Just for one breath, lift the chest. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come up, walk to center, and then come to sit. Take the hands behind you to the side. Just release the legs, give them a little bit of a wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. Get the circulation going. And then come down onto the mat. Sit up onto your heels. So bend the feet. See if you can draw your ankle bones together so that they actually touch. And just for a moment, sit back on the heels, so you should feel quite a strong stretch through the bottom of the feet. Might be a bit of a shock feeling. So see if you can just sit and be with that for just a moment. As you do so, really lengthen the spine. See if you can find the natural curve into the lower back. Take a couple more breaths here. For the last one, just draw your ankle bones together and then release. Come down sit onto your heels and creep the hands forward. Initially onto your fingertips, lift the chest. See if you can reach the bottom rib cage all the way to the knees. Really lengthen the belly and then exhale, fold forward. Either stay up onto fingertips and release the forehead towards the floor, or you can take the palms onto the floor and take the forehead to or towards the floor and breathe here. Nice long deep breaths. Keep the arms energized, so either fingertips or palms, put some energy down. Lift the elbows up away from the mat. Lengthen the arms. Slightly rotate the armpits as if they wanted to look at each other. Broaden the front of the chest. Broaden across the upper back. Lengthen the spine as you inhale, and as you exhale, really sit down and ground the back of the hips towards the heels. Stay here for another 3 breaths. On your next in-breath, start to creep the hands up, and we're going to take the legs out to the side. So this posture, you may want a blanket or one of your bricks. So take the calves aside. So for some people it's quite easy to sit down between the heels, and for others not so easy. I fall into that category, a bit tight through the quads here. So if that feels quite strong for you, grab a blanket or a brick and pop it under your bottom, and that immediately feels a bit nicer. So just take the heels of the hand and just onto the outer calves and roll them out to the side, creating a bit more space. If you can, draw the knees towards each other. So just sit up nice and straight. Find that natural curve in the lower back, so either sitting up or sitting directly on the floor. Lift up. Feel a nice length through the spine all the way to the crown of the head. Take the thumbs and just place them into the hip creases and really encourage the very top of the thighs down and back. So really deepening this hip crease here, which should help to send the back of the hips back behind you. And then so when you sit up, you can really get more of a sense of that little curve here in the lower back. So you can either take the hands onto the heels of the feet, or if you want to kind of encourage yourself to anchor down here, take the heels of the hands. As you breathe in, push down. As you breathe out, push down and back with the heels of the hand, deepening the hip creases. So a few more breaths just here. On your next in-breath, releasing, and just start to lift the bottom up and creep the hands forward. Just place the palms on the floor. Just do a very soft movement, one leg at a time, just to get some of the circulation back into the back of the knees. One more time. And then taking the knees wide as the mat, taking the big toes together. Stick your bottom up high, stretch the hands high, and settle your chest towards the mat. Put some energy through the palms, lift the elbows up away from the mat, rotate the armpits towards each other like they wanted to look at each other, broaden across the back of the shoulders. Breathe nice big breaths into the chest. Lift the back of the hips high towards the roof, again feeling a nice natural curve in the lower back. And breathe nice long deep breaths. Slow count of 4 in, slow count of 4 out. Stay here for 3 more breaths. Coming up, walking the hands back, and we'll take ourselves onto the floor. So grab, have 1 blanket or 2 blankets, depending on your hamstrings, and I'll just show you a few options for this next posture called Janu Shirsasana, seated head to knee pose. So taking 1 blanket to sit up on it, particularly if you find when you sit down directly on the floor, if you find your lower back collapses, then popping the blanket underneath will give your hips a little bit of elevation and give them more opportunity to roll forward. If you feel that you're still kind of rounded in the lower back, grab your second blanket and pop it underneath the back of your right knee, and that'll give you a little bit of a bent leg, taking a little bit of onus off the hamstrings here. You could also use a big pillow or a big cushion under the knee here. Taking the left sole of the foot and popping it in towards the inner thigh. The hips, if you're new to this posture, have the hips facing directly forward. If you have a bit more experience with this posture, you can open the hip out, so it's a bit of a 90-degree angle between both thighs. So you pick one that works for you. Inhale, really lift here. See if you can get that nice little natural curve in the lower back. Send the back of the hips out behind you, lift the spine, flex the right foot, and then exhale. Just come forward, taking fingertips onto the floor next to the calves. Inhale, lift the chest. So that might be your spot to hold here for 1 minute if you find that's quite a lot of sensation through the hamstrings. And it's a really fabulous place to stop and breathe and soften and start to open up the muscles in the back of the legs. If you've got a little bit more in you, take a nice breath in, lift the chest, and then exhale, start to creep the hands forward. So you can hold the ankle, you can hold the sides of the feet. You could have a belt here to hold, which is nice, or you can take a wrist or some fingers around the back of the foot, lift the chest and holding here. So we'll stay here for about half a minute and breathe. So just find your nice long, deep inhalation, long, deep exhalation. And just encourage yourself to feel soft, to breathe, relax. All those little stories that start to enter your mind, allow them just to float on by. Take 3 more nice long deep breaths here. On your next in-breath, come up, lift the chest, walk the hands back. Just sit up for a moment, enjoy, and swap sides. So if you used a little rolled up blanket on the first side, take that over to the second side. Take the sole of the right foot and just have some contact with the inner left leg. So again, if you're newer to this posture, hips straight forward. If you're a bit more experienced, you can open this hip up. So in that case, it's going to be a forward bend and a twist. So you choose one that's going to work nicely for you, where you can feel soft. Take the hands to the side, lift, feel that nice sense of lift through the lower back. Keep that sense of lift in the lower back as you fold forward. Inhale, either hold here, grab a belt, beautiful place to stop and breathe. If you've got a little bit more space, you can start to bring the chest forward, hold ankle, sides of the feet, fingers or a wrist behind the foot. Spend a nice half minute here. Three more breaths. Relax, soften. On your next in-breath, lift the chest, walk the hands back, pause for just a moment, and then release. Just pop the blankets to the side and make your way back into downward facing dog. Plant the hands nicely, lift the hips. If you need a little bit of a walk through the legs just to get the circulation going, then go for it. Just pedaling heel to heel. And then eventually just settling both heels back onto the mat. So if you're quite familiar with downward dog, hold here. If you find downward dog a little bit hard to hold and you especially feel like your weight is coming forward over the hands and you can't quite get that height through the hips, then bend the knees, look at the knees, make sure the knees are as wide as the ankles. They'll tend to want to draw in towards each other, so move them out parallel. Keep the knees bent, push through the hands and lift the back of the hips up towards the roof. Again, creating that nice natural curve in the lower back. Once you've got the hips up, keep the knees bent, take a deep breath in, and then exhale your chest towards your bent knees, getting a little bit more movement and freedom through the shoulders. And this might be your downward dog while you're still opening up the hamstrings with bent legs. And little by little you can start to use the very top of the thighs, the hip crease. From that point, move those legs back. Start to take the back of the knees back. Take the heels down towards the floor. As soon as you lose the height with the back of the hips, that's where to stop. So if you can keep the hips high and straighten the legs and sink the heels, then that's the spot where we, little by little, work towards. Take 3 more breaths here. Straight legs or bent legs. Nice grounded hands. Nice long, strong arms. Broad chest. Broad upper back.
Nice lift and height through the back of the hips. On your next in-breath, come up high onto the toes, bring some weight forward, drop the knees onto the floor, grab your 2 bricks or whatever you're using to lean on, take the right leg forward and flex the foot here. So here it might be a bent leg again, so if you feel like you start quivering as soon as you start to straighten the leg, then keep it bent and flex this right foot back towards you. So the other thing here is the right hip will want to come forward. So just take your right thumb, pop it into the hip crease, move that hip crease down and back behind you and sort of lift your bum, so like you're sticking your bum out to the wall behind you. Keep that right foot flexed, have the right leg straight or bent, whatever you need to do. That's just initiating that sensation through the hamstrings. Now inhale, lift the chest. And then exhale, fold your chest towards the shin. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, fold forward at the same time. Move the right hip back to the wall behind you. Inhale, lift the chest. And then exhale, fold. One more like that. So either keep going up and down if that is giving you enough sensation. If you want to hold it here, then the next time you float down, stay here. Keep flexing the right foot, really strengthening that right leg, and keep encouraging the right hip crease to move back and down towards the mat. Have the back of the neck, just a nice extension of the upper back. Take 3 more breaths here, so either held or floating up and down with the breath. And this is Ardha Hanuman, so half splits. So one day we'll get you into full splits. On your next in-breath, coming up, planting the hands, straightening the back leg, lift the chest, lift the gaze, and just walk back into down dog. Take a little bit of a cycle through the heels. And then lift high onto the toes and step the left foot forward. Bring the right knee down, come up onto your bricks or whatever you're using. And again, your choice of a bent or a straight leg here. Make sure this foot is flexed. That'll signal to the leg that, yes, you actually are working here. So as soon as you get that little quivering sensation, you really need to start to back off then. So straight or bent leg, whatever works for you. Grab your left thumb, pop it into the hip crease, and plug this down and back behind you. Then start to lift the back of the hips like you're sitting on the wall behind you. And lift the chest here. And then exhale, fold it forward towards the left shin. Inhale, lift the chest up. And then exhale, fold forward at the same time, encouraging this left hip to keep moving back and down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold down. So your choice to either stay here and enjoy the sensation through the hamstrings, or if it works better for you, just keep floating up and down with the breath. So stay here a good half minute. Relax the back of the neck. Relax the face. Nice rhythmic breath. So just be okay with the sensations that arise. Really breathe into those sensations. Any little stories that are starting to make their way through your head, just send them on their merry little way. Couple more breaths here. On your next in-breath, coming up and popping the bricks aside. Planting the hands, step back. Downward dog if you would like to take a little walk through the heels. Take a little pedal. And then settling back just for a couple of breaths. So make your choice, straight legs or bent legs, keeping the back of the hips nice and high, keeping a sense that you have got just a little bit of give in the lower back. So whatever that is for you, straight legs or bent legs, chest moving back towards your knees. Relax the back of the neck. Come high onto the toes, drop the knees onto the floor, grab your bricks again. This time we're going to take a wide leg stance. So have the bricks onto a medium level here. Take the legs a little wider than the mat and have the feet parallel. So by parallel, look at your second toes and they should kind of be parallel to each other. You might feel like you're a little bit pigeon-toed. That's all okay. So reach forward, grab the bricks if you need them at a higher height, take them to a higher height. Whatever you need to do to get a feeling that the back of your hips can lift up. So if you feel like your lower back is rounding here, get up on a little bit more height. Okay, so stretch the arms forward, start to lengthen the spine, look side to side at your feet, roll a little bit of energy to the outside of the feet, look to the inner feet, just notice the arches of the feet starting to lift, and extend some energy all the way up to the inner legs and use that lift of energy to then lift some energy up through the back of the hips. So like you're now sticking your bum up towards the roof, the muscle just above the kneecap. See if you can just gently lift it up towards the hip creases and just settle back here for a nice wide-legged forward bend. Take 3 more nice long deep breaths here. On your next in-breath, lift the chest and then just soften the legs into the center, come down onto the knees, and we're going to take a wide-legged seated forward bend. So for this you may or may not want to sit up onto blankets. So again, make your decision as to whether when you sit with your legs a little wide, if you feel like your lower back is rounding, then sit up on some height. That gives you more of an opportunity to sit up straight. If you feel okay sitting up straight without the prop, then you can sit directly onto the floor. If either of those just doesn't work for you, bend the legs up here, flex the feet, take the inner knees towards the outer knees, and take the forearms or the hands into your inner knees. Keep the feet flexed and energized, and use the arms and the legs. Give them a little bit of tension interplay here. And we lift the chest up. Feel that natural curve in the lower back being created here. Nice long spine, nice lift through the crown of the head, and breathe here. And this is a lovely place to stop if you would love to create some space in the lower back. If you've got a little bit more freedom in the lower back, you can release the hands and slide them out. Keep the feet flexed, keep the kneecaps pointing up, the big toes pointing up. Here is a nice place to stop. If you'd like to come forward, take the fingertips forward, lift the chest, nice curve in the lower back, send the back of the hips out behind you, and then you can start to walk down onto elbows. Possibly taking fingertips forward, lift the chest, float the ribs and the chest down. Possibly taking your forehead towards the floor. The legs may want to collapse in here, so see if you can very deliberately keep the big toes and the kneecaps pointing up. Taking 3 more nice deep breaths wherever you are. And then creeping the hands up. If you want to do the little girl thing, you can put your hands around your chin and give a cheeky grin and then creep up. Very nice. And then very slowly, releasing. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. And then we'll take a nice twist. So bending in the left leg and taking the right foot onto the floor so that the sole of the foot is directly on the floor. That is your first option. And again, you could be sitting up on a blanket for this. So you can take the twist this way. We're going to be twisting to the right. If you've got a little bit more room in the hips, take this bent leg so it's the knees pointing directly in front of you and step the right foot over. If you do that, your right bum may have come off the floor, so just deliberately lift up both sides, sit down evenly. And your choice, taking the hand around the outer knee, take the fingertips behind you. If you've got a little bit more space, you can slice the elbow down past the outer knee, lift the lower back, see if you can again create that sort of the natural curve of the lower back, so it's moving in towards the center. Inhale deeply, lift the lower back, and then exhale. Just feel the belly button moving around. Inhale nice and deeply all the way through the mid-back, and then exhale, feeling the left rib cage moving around to the right. Inhale nice and deeply all the way past the shoulder blades, and then exhale, turn the chest. Inhale deeply, lengthen the back of the neck, and then exhale, very softly, turn the chin. Inhale deeply, a beautiful spiral all the way up the spine to the crown of the head. Exhale, really grounding down evenly through both hips. One more beautiful deep breath here. And then exhale, slowly unravel, chin first, chest, belly, and release. So take the legs in front of you, give them a little bit of a shake, and this time bending in your right leg and popping the left foot in front of you. First option here. If you've got a little bit more space in the hips, move this knee more to the center and lift the left leg over the right. Lift both hips up and pop them both down so you're sitting evenly on both hips, as opposed to lifting up and leaning over to the right. So your choice, either the hand around this side of the knee, or you can take this arm straight and slice the elbow down. Get some initial lift through the lower back. So inhale deeply, lengthen the lower back. Exhale, very, very slowly, moving the belly button around. Inhale, nice length through the mid-back. And then exhale, right ribs. Just move slowly around to meet the left ribs. Inhale deeply between the shoulder blades. And exhale, chest. Inhale, lengthen the back of the neck. Exhale, turn the chin slightly. Inhale deeply, nice beautiful spiral all the way up the spine to the crown of the head. Exhale, settle down, ground through the hips. One more very deep breath in. And then slowly exhale, chin first, chest second, belly last, and release. Take the legs out, give them a little shake. Okay, so for the final posture, we're going to sit for a while. So this is your permission to stop and sit. So a couple of choices here. You can sit comfortable cross-leg, right in front of the left or left in front of the right, whichever is your natural way. You can take a half lotus, 1 foot up on the knee. Only take this option if this top knee is happy about it, as opposed to if
it's up here, it might be a little uncomfortable to hold for too long. So in which case, just take cross-legged up on a blanket if you need. If you have a bit more room in the hips, you can take a full lotus, 2 feet up onto the upper thighs. Again, you can be up on a blanket for this. So we're going to hold wherever you are just for a few minutes. You can have your palms down to the knees. If you want a more inward gesture with your seated meditation. If you want to have a more of a gesture of receptivity, then you can open the palms up and just really taking the gaze down in front of you. So just about 1 meter in front of you and down towards the floor. Just keep the eyes open just for a moment and take some attention just behind the eyes and feel a nice softness behind the eyes. Continue that softness right into the middle of your head. It's a very nice soft brain that doesn't require too much thinking right now. You can start to take the eyes closed. With your eyes closed, just tracing a line up and down your spine, feeling length all the way to the crown of the head, feeling the lower back, a gentle lift, beautiful natural curve in the lower back. Feeling some nice groundedness through the back of the hips. And just being relaxed and okay with stopping here, just for a couple of minutes. So the last half minute here is checking in, finding a sense of soft, nice freedom in the breath. Relax. Any thoughts that are popping into your head, just let them march on by. All is well. Three more nice long deep breaths here. Nice inhale. Open your mouth. Exhale. Let it all out. Softly blink the eyes open. Very nice. Take the hands by your side and release the legs wherever they were. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. Soften the legs back in. Take the hands to the heart. Take the chin inward. Look inward. Take a nice full deep breath in, fill up. And as you exhale, stay nice and full. And just taking that sense of fullness into your evening or your day ahead. Namaste.